If you had no limitations for your future and you were asked what you are dissatisfied with today, that's a tough question, isn't it? What would you want? That's an easier one, right? So what are you dissatisfied with today?
Perhaps the only thing I'm not satisfied with is the room where I listen to music. Because the studio, the premium hi-fi store, is located in Riga and we're inside an apartment. We have a small dedicated space, about 2.5 by 3 meters. We did acoustic treatment there, set up quality equipment, and the sound there is just wonderful. But that space is just too small for me to spread out. I would like a bigger room. I know how to achieve good sound. I know what to do with a room so that it doesn't interfere with listening to music. I know what kind of source is needed. I know what kind of amplifier is needed and what kind of speakers are needed. What we currently have in the premium hi-fi studio, in my opinion, is the optimal option for audiophile listening in an apartment where there are other people besides you.
And I'll tell you what doesn't satisfy me from an engineering point of view, okay? First of all, I'm not satisfied with stereo. It's an extremely unstable system, fundamentally unstable, because we're synthesizing...
Well, people still haven't figured out stereo. We can't even set up and tune 2 speakers, and we're already moving on to 5.1 Dolby Atmos immersive sound. Honestly, I don't really get it.
No, the main problem is that we're artificially synthesizing the center channel in stereo. Yeah, well, when we're setting things up there, we talk a lot. So I have a scene like this. He's singing in the middle, and if there were 3 speakers, we'd have right, left, and a third one. Imagine how your possibilities expand. You can move while he's still singing in the center. So there's a systemic glitch in stereo. That's why everything is so complicated in the room, because we're synthesizing, right? Any reflection, it's a mess right away. Well, not any, but basically everything changes because of reflections. That's why I believe that one issue in the future that needs to be solved is, well, let's say stereo and trio should be compatible, so that both can play. Because the fact that we don't have a center channel in stereo playback is a huge problem. As an engineer, I think it's a bad solution, and I believe technology has reached a point where this can be solved. So the source is important, and basically, well, I have this generalization to go through the points. In general, what do people say about the future? Records and physical media will disappear. There will be many who disagree, but that generation will die out, and there will be a younger generation growing up with computers and headphones.
Right now, records are experiencing a renaissance, and many manufacturers are returning to making turntables and producing vinyl releases again. There is a renaissance happening, but I can't say that it has any really huge prospects. Vinyl is becoming a niche product that will be collectible, will sell to some extent, but will never be as mainstream as streaming services like Tidal, Spotify, GoBus and others.
But those that, well, there are studies about the future and trends.
Yes.
Research companies say that there is a renaissance now, but it will go away later, right?
Well, fashion always goes in cycles. For example, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and even the 80s of the last century, people had no other choice but to listen to vinyl. It was the cheapest and most accessible. $3 and you get Elvis. If you wanted a reel with Elvis, you had to pay $21, which is 7 times more expensive. That's why vinyl was so popular, and when digital started to take over in the 90s, vinyl naturally kind of died out. But now it's come back because people realized that vinyl has that warm analog sound. You can start collecting, touch the cover, look at the edition. It's very beautiful and warm. Actually, I also bought about a dozen vinyl records for myself. They all sound very different and the quality is pretty questionable. But sometimes, as a kind of ritual, I gladly take out a record, put it on the turntable, wipe off the dust, set the needle, listen to the noise, and enjoy this big cover. It's really beautiful, but today we no longer need vinyl that takes up a lot of shelf space. Today, as I said, we've all been won over by streaming services, and if we want to play music from a streaming service in high quality, Usually we only need one device, either your phone, which is a full-fledged streamer and source, or your television, which is also a full-fledged streamer and source. You just install the necessary apps on it, Tidal, Spotify, Amazon Music, or any others to your taste. Or you can buy a specialized streamer. This is the Wii Mini, a very portable streamer.
Well, in the future, you said 2026, but I would say from 2026 to 2034. Well, that's the future. It's not tomorrow.
All right, but I had to write something for the cover. So 2026, there's a storm, a tempest, like the speakers are sinking.
The future won't change overnight, but trends are emerging.
Yeah.
First, the home network capacity will increase significantly, which means
I think 6 and 7 have already appeared.
6 and 7, yes.
Wi-Fi routers of the 6th and 7th generation already exist.
We get a huge amount of data transfer over a short distance, and basically we can make the entire audio system wireless. We couldn't do it before because of the bandwidth limitations.
With 5 gigahertz, everything runs smoothly. In our studio, we have it so all the streamers and 4K television work perfectly.
Well, this is just the beginning. We're still going to multi-room systems and everything else. But basically, the first thing is that the bandwidth allows for a different technology. That's the change. So the service you were talking about, well, I was in doubt here. These researchers write that there will be lossless streaming. In fact, there is already lossless streaming.
It already exists.
And they say there will also be high-res on them. But here I'm not so sure because there's really no need for it, so...
It's marketing. There's no need for it because the CD format 44.1 at 16 is more than enough, right?
That's 10 times more than we need.
But when people see this black and gold high-res badge, they start going crazy. And they think that on a regular hi-fi system, well, maybe even a budget one, yeah, if you play a high-res recording, then this system will sound divine. I'll tell you this, that's not going to happen. It all depends on your system's resolution. If you have a good source, a digital to analog converter, an amplifier, and speakers that let you hear a lot of details, then yes, possibly you might hear some improvement with high-res, with a high-res recording. But actually the CD format is more than enough to work with a system that costs tens of thousands of euros, maybe even 100 or 200,000 euros. You won't notice any loss in quality or feel anything is missing. In my view, high-res is just marketing and sales. To sell a product, they need improvements, so that's what they promote. High-res.
Why do you think you won't hear high-res? What's the reason?
Well, how am I supposed to hear it? Because if the sound quality of a CD is already above the capabilities of our hearing, then how are we supposed to hear high-res? It's impossible.
Yeah, so with high-res, my personal opinion is that there's no need for it. There's CD. CD quality exceeds the resolving power of the ear. Well, that means we're selling something we don't need, but there are other things that are needed, really needed. So regarding high-res, yes, they say it will be there, but I don't find a significant improvement in quality in it.
Well, lossless files have already appeared on Tidal. That is, master quality authenticated decoding is going away. Tidal is abandoning it.
High-res lossless?
Yes, now everything is already lossless. There it goes, 20.
Lossless, yes, but high-res?
Anything above 1644.1 is high-res. And it's also lossless.
Listen, you're being deceived. Well, okay, that's just my personal opinion.
But the thing is, streaming services also use what's called dynamic compression. That means if your network bandwidth can't handle high-res lossless in a super-duper extra format, you'll get a compressed format, but you won't know about it. They'll tell you that you're getting high-res, but you still won't hear the difference. So it doesn't really matter.
So, Bluetooth technologies. Bluetooth technologies today, if your source is uncompressed, can basically transmit almost all of these qualities. This is already an achievement today, and in the future, it won't even be a challenge. It will work in the area called low latency. With no delay, so you can watch television, there will be Bluetooth 6.0 and beyond. and many people will be able to listen with headphones right away. There are 100 people sitting in the bar, they're talking, watching a sports broadcast, and being served drinks.
But here's something interesting. I watched a video on YouTube about Bluetooth, and the author said that Bluetooth was originally intended to be used the way Wi-Fi is now. So the potential bandwidth of Bluetooth is equal to that of Wi-Fi, meaning it's very high. Of course, the chips need to be improved and the software needs to be refined, but today Bluetooth is getting better and better every year.
Yeah, I just tested Epitech's high definition, and I even have a video where I tested different ones. And if for me CD quality is the limit that is completely enough, then I could, well, skip it and not hear the difference. If I use an uncompressed signal at the start, if it's compressed, then it's done for right away. Double compression ruins everything, but if it's uncompressed, yeah, Epitech's high definition is very decent. Of course, you have a delay, but there's no way around it.
When just listening to music, it's not critical, but when the picture must match the sound, the delay can have an effect.
It gets on your nerves, sorry, really. It really gets on your nerves. Well, okay, that's how it is. But it will be resolved in the near future.
High-end is always a huge amplifier weighing 80 kilograms per monoblock, massive transformers, cooling radiators. These amplifiers just look like a spaceship. If they fall at home, they could easily crush your dog or another pet. And it's believed that only these kinds of monoblocks are the way to go in audio. But what's most interesting is that when I visited the high-end show in Munich, I compared how systems sound that are powered by these huge, heavy amplifiers. I compared how active speaker systems sound, which have everything they need built in. Everything is built in. The digital to analog converter and amplifier are inside the speaker, making it small and compact. And, active speaker systems with a built-in amplifier and a digital signal processor module are in no way inferior to those huge kilowatt monsters. And a question for Gunther as an amplifier specialist. So what awaits us? Are we going to keep heating our apartments with these Class A and tube amplifiers? Or is something going to change?
Well, marketing is a powerful force, but if you look at the full perspective, of course, they'll all disappear. That doesn't make sense.
So, as we show on our cover, all these monsters will drown in the ocean of the market, which simply doesn't need them?
Well, the price will move to the speaker. They will be in the speaker, but not in the same size. They will be in a different size with better features. They will be in the speaker. And what's the key reason? The reason is the passive filter. It's a necessity, but it's a very, very bad necessity. See how many components there are?
It's a huge number, but very beautiful, a masterpiece.
It's good that it's beautiful, but I want sound. Sound is the main thing for me. Beautiful is good, but sound is the main thing.
Sometimes just looking at something beautiful is enough, and it even sounds good. If it's also expensive and beautiful, it seems even better.
But it's a parasite.
Why?
Look, it's standing between the amplifier and the loudspeaker.
Yes.
It eats up a third of your power. It doesn't let you control. The loudspeaker is not at the level it could be today. It makes the system universal. Yes, it's convenient, and you buy it and can connect it to any amplifier, but basically it's a parasite. Very bad. The worst one you could possibly have. Notice how many strong resistors are here. They're all installed and absorbing.
They're very beautiful. I look at them and it just makes me happy. Well, this is lovely, this is lovely. There's some aesthetics here. I'll be honest, I don't really understand acoustic system filters, but when I see this filter, it seems like exactly how a filter should look. A filter like this, made aesthetically, beautifully, and with enough weight, will work well and with good quality.
You realize that it takes away about 40 to 50% of your speaker's quality, which how it could sound even if it's not expensive, and it's all because of this. And if you remove it, that's why in the future active system it will sound right away. How do I see my business? This trend is definitely happening. Active speakers will become more and more common, but there will be a huge market for very good speakers that someone has already bought. The big players will work in the new market, and I will work in the one that remains.
Which is already left over from the previous marketing period, so to speak, right?
Yes, and they will also want to sound just like these new ones. And here I have a few developments. Well, this one is kind of experimental. I can show a few options that I made over the years, since I knew this trend was coming. How do you turn a passive speaker into an active one, using a hybrid between professional equipment and an affordable option from various developments? This one is a cheaper option, and if you want no compromises, then it's more expensive. There are different options here. I'm working on prototypes, but in the end, the speaker will also be passive without this filter. All the loudspeakers will be connected to the speaker output with this modern with a plug. There are 4 pairs here. You connect them and it will be just like new. And even more so, wealthy people will buy these new active ones and sell the old ones, and there will be a strong secondary market for very high quality speakers. That's where I want to play, and I plan to.
So your idea is that we take good expensive speakers and throw out the filter that's inside.
Yes, and it's very easy to modify.
And we insert an amplifier with a pre-configured active filter, right? Am I understanding correctly?
Well, it will look something like this. On top, you see this, on top is the active crossover.
Yes, the filter.
And below is the amplifier, a multi-channel power amplifier. And then the passive wires go to the speaker. It won't be built into the speaker.
Yes, so you plan to have for each speaker...
Yeah, for each speaker.
To put its own amplifier and its own filter?
Yes, and that connector will allow you to do that. Just like now, a single wire comes in, but in this wire there will be 3 pairs or 4 pairs, depending on the speaker and the architecture. This modification is simple, very simple. You don't even have to be an electronics engineer. If you're more or less an electrician, a home electrician, that's it. Your qualification is enough. I'll prepare everything else. You can do the last step yourself. I think those who are interested in music are already thinking about this too. Many are, yes. So you were asking about the amplifier in the future.
Yes, amplifiers of class A, B, yes, and what's happening to them? Why are they sinking?
Well, class D, it's developing.
Audiophiles say that class D doesn't sound good. It's bad, it's terrible, and...
They don't say that anymore, now they say it with a caveat. Except for Hypex and maybe Ice Power. The rest are bad, but Hypex is more or less okay. They're already giving in.
So acceptance has already started, right?
Yes, acceptance has started. And now there's even high-end equipment based on that. Well, when something works so well, costs much less, and you can pack everything into a small, nice box. We had steam engines and locomotives. At exhibitions, I've used steam locomotives. They're exceptional mechanical masterpieces. But today there are electric locomotives, and what are they called? I don't know the right term. Another type, diesel.
Hybrid.
Hybrid, yes, they're gone, that's it.
Yes, so a class A or class B amplifier is already outdated.
Yes, due to the high losses, you need large heat sinks right away. Some people are holding on, measuring and trying to say something. An active speaker will still sound better than any dinosaur you put there. The principle is, as soon as you get rid of the parasites, yes, it starts to sound. Even the S90 will sound much better.
All right, Gunters, could you please tell us why you make these small, inexpensive Class D amplifiers, what can be done with them, and what chips are they made with?
Well, in general, I specialize and chose the company I work with, which is Ice Power. These are industrial level modules. For example, this module, if you look at it, this one is from the first generation, but it's so successful that it already has a third iteration. Some components are updated to more modern ones, but the entire design, dimensions, and so on remain the same. And in this regard, what's good for me as a developer is that even when the generation changes, I can still provide service. Something broke somewhere. The new unit also fits one-to-one. You just unscrew it and insert it. It's different, but it provides the same parameters or even better. That's why I make these amplifiers for everyone who needs quite a lot of power. Let's say where it's 100 watts, I don't work there at all, because that's where the Chinese are. And the TPA3255 is indestructible, but my niche is up to 500. Amplifiers up to 500 watts, which are just right for home use, and multi-channel ones for future speakers.
Today I watched your video, the one about the TPA3255.
There are 2 and 4 channels.
There are 2 of them, yes.
It's perfect for mid and high, but there's nothing better there. Look how small it is.
Small, compact, beautiful, elegant. I mean, it's really beautiful.
8 channels, yeah, 1 power supply.
Is this the power supply you talked about last time, the medical grade one, right?
Well, I found it, chose it, and there's no replacement for it. The price, and it's medical grade, it's industrial.
Yes.
It won't kill anyone. It will pass electromagnetic compatibility in any country. Well, we have to take many such things into account when we do something. That's exactly why I'm creating different things for this amateur market. This one's more powerful. There's 500 watts for the woofer and 100 watts each for the mids and the highs. A specially designed preamp on a really cool chip. That's my marketing. Mine is the best out there.
Beautiful.
Well, yeah, that's all. Let's say these are next year's products. Absolutely everyone says that future speaker systems will only be active, and I agree 100%. They'll have a digital signal processor, but why use one? Look at the huge advantage you get if you have digital processing in the speaker. Because right now you have to make an incredibly good loudspeaker, and when you, let's say, lower the volume and it sounds a bit worse, it has a certain range where it sounds really good. But with a digital signal processor you can do it like with a measurement microphone. Making a measurement microphone perfect is impossible. So how do we do it? We record its characteristics, see where it fluctuates, then we take a measurement and subtract the error. We end up with 0 error. And we can do the same thing with a speaker.
Okay.
And then we can make some compromises for the speaker to make it sound better. And we compensate for this unevenness in the characteristics at the digital signal processor level, and it will sound perfect.
Okay.
Here's an example. Have you ever listened to Apple, those headphones, AirPods?
Not once.
The digital signal processor delivers amazing quality and clear speech, good enough for making movies.
Now, all wireless headphones use digital signal processor modules to get exactly what you need out of the speakers.
It's already working, yeah, and at the same time,
there's a digital signal processor everywhere here. Even if you send an analog signal from a source, it will be digitized, processed by the digital signal processor and output. That's what these speakers need for good sound.
And it sounds great.
It sounds great. This is Bluetooth. There is...
Well, it doesn't matter. The problem is with the speakers.
aptX, adaptive codec, is present.
You compensate for the speaker problem.
Yes, and the speaker issue is complex. If the headphones are passive, then you can only compensate for the speaker problem from your own source, but that's not always convenient.
And it's the same way. The main trend in acoustic systems is a built-in amplifier and correction of flaws at the digital processing level.
Well, I'd like to share my opinion about speakers. The market for digital to analog converters and the market for streamers today is basically saturated. It has developed a lot and reached a high level of quality. So if you buy a device, let's say, for €99 or $99, with such a streamer you solve all your problems, including multi-room. As for digital to analog converters, if you buy a digital to analog converter that costs $30 to $85, for example, this one costs $85 and already sounds almost at an audiophile level, you solve all your issues. But the biggest problem today is always the speaker systems. Our speakers, which we enjoy, have remained almost unchanged for nearly 200 years, ever since they first appeared. And that's a huge problem because there are no technical possibilities to significantly improve their performance. What awaits consumers? Consumers can expect active speakers. These are speakers that already have a digital to analog converter built in, and possibly even a source and an amplifier. Of course, as Gunther mentioned, there's a digital signal processor module to make the sound as accurate as possible according to the company's standards or hi-fi standards, depending on what you prefer. You can connect any source to any speaker, such as a vinyl player, cassette deck, or your television via HDMI, and control volume with your television remote. Basically, an active speaker with digital inputs doesn't need any sources except for your television and your phone. You don't need to buy anything else. Because, as I mentioned at the beginning, by installing an app like Tidal, Spotify, Amazon Music, or others on your television, you already have a source. A digital source that is almost impossible to spoil. Audiophiles will say a television and a phone are very bad sources. That was 20 years ago. Now a television, a phone, and a little device like this are at a very high level. And I'll tell you one more thing. It's almost impossible to spoil a digital signal. That is, if the digital signal from your source is transmitted to the speaker, whether from the television or the phone, then it's either transmitted in the same quality as it was in the studio, or it's not transmitted at all. There's a sequence of ones and zeros that simply reaches your device, and you won't notice any influence from the device itself. That's why it doesn't matter what you connect to the active speaker. It will still sound great. You no longer have to worry about choosing components, cables, or replacing amplifiers, because a digital speaker, an active speaker, is already designed at the factory to provide the highest possible sound quality with minimal by processing the signal inside the speaker itself, and you don't need to change anything in it anymore. Simply place it by your television, plug it into power, connect it to the television with an HDMI cable, and you're done. You get super high quality sound without high-end amplifiers weighing 80 kilograms and without high-end digital to analog converters weighing 50 kilograms, which you wouldn't even know how to approach.
Well, from an engineering point of view, I would make the speaker simple.
Why?
Only an amplifier and a digital signal processor.
Why?
So that and a connecting wireless link to each speaker and nothing else.
Why?
Because the technologies like Dolby Atmos and all multi-channel ones are constantly evolving. And a speaker lasts for many years. If we make it simple, then we can always update the brains.
Yes.
Otherwise, we'll have to change the speaker.
It's profitable for the industry. Many companies operate this way. They deliberately limit the upgradability of their devices so that people buy new ones.
Well, I'm not signing up for that kind of nonsense. If I started a company, my marketing would crush the marketing of those companies that operate like that. The world is open today, and my marketing would work that way. My speaker is like that, the link is reliable, internal, it's fully compensated at the digital signal processor level, and you can connect any brains you want, and they work. It's not bad, I would win.
So it would be a modular design that can be constantly upgraded?
Well, the thing is, the speaker would be simple and complete. If you've solved the wireless connection issue, and electricity on the second tier can be connected quite easily, and there are various other things like that. It's complicated, so from an engineering point of view, I think this idea is better because the speaker is simple, it just plays sound and can connect. And all these complications you mentioned. Here's the new streamer, then streamer plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 15, 20, 22. A new standard, there will be 3, my 3. Stereo and trio. My trio standard will be there. It will always be compatible since the speaker lasts for many years.
But there's an active speaker and there's an active smart speaker. That is, in an active smart speaker, this kind of puck is already built in.
Don't buy an active smart speaker. This standard will be outdated in 3 years, trust me.
You'll have to buy a new one. But what's happening? What's going on in the market today? If we go to the biggest electronic stores, RD or Evronic, what do we see being sold? Either Bluetooth boomboxes, portable ones on batteries, or a smart speaker. There are Denon, JBL, Harman, what other brands are there? And today this is a very convenient solution. You put a smart speaker in every room and install an app on your phone. And basically you get a multi-room system that you can control very flexibly from your phone. There you have all the streaming services, network features, and everything you want. Absolutely everything. But Gunters is warning you. You'll have to buy new speakers in 3 years because companies will deliberately start slowing them down. Everything will start glitching and it's bye-bye.
Well, I believe in a good future. I think engineers will come up with the right solution. How do I see it? I see that the audio industry is developing in 2 main directions. So, video plus sound. At home, you get really good surround sound. And all these technologies that are developing, they're not for stereo. These wireless connections and many such things, they're for these immersive or multi-channel systems. There are several standards. Well, we know Dolby Atmos, we know Sony 360 Reality, that's for headphones. Sony focuses on headphones. Auro 3D, which I don't know what it is, I need to read about it. Some kind of variety. I don't know anything about Auro 3D and DTSX, which is very interesting because if Dolby assigns each speaker during encoding what will go to that speaker, then the other one, then it can be such a flexible system, right? It's not channel-based, and they all require it. So if you have many speakers, can you imagine wiring each one?
That's really great for business. If you want to do something like this, contact us, we'll run the wires for you, install a bunch of amplifiers, and you'll enjoy immersive sound.
Don't believe it, we won't do it like that, we'll do it differently,
Be sure to order from Premium Hi-Fi and we'll install immersive 360 Dolby Atmos and Ultra Plus 3000 extra mega for you. Follow the link in the description.
That's why I think the speaker will be
high-res, and all of this will be in high-res.
That's why I think the speaker will be dumb. And then the issue is solved because wiring electricity around the room is relatively simple. Well, everything is connected in series, but if you run a wire to each one, can you imagine how complicated that is? You almost have to do a special renovation for that.
Well, I recently did an installation in a private house and I was asked to set up sound for the gym, sauna, pool, and shower room. But the amount of wiring that went into an area of about 60 square meters was around 140 meters.
If they're different rooms, it's wiring.
Wiring, it was wiring, and from the amplifiers, well, from the streaming multi-room amplifiers, we had to run those wires. Considering that everything was under renovation, there were no problems. When your room is still under construction, there are no problems running everything. But as soon as everything is finished, it's a mission impossible. It's terrible.
Well, I think that, let's say, these multi-channel immersive systems are for one room. You equip one room and you have a wonderful home theater there. And the simplicity of installation will be the deciding factor in which speaker you choose. Well, not speaker, which system you choose. The simplicity of installation. Because really, some guys will come and that same team could spend a month installing, or 5 days or 50 days. There's a big difference. And there, the brackets will be selected and all the electrical work. How easy it is to do. The whole industry will work on it. It will be easy. Well, you have speakers up there, speakers here, speakers over there, all kinds of different types. There's a speaker that fires from the bottom up if you can't put it above. So everyone is working on this and standards are emerging, and most importantly, the network system inside the house can also support it. That's a large amount of data. But
No, well, okay. Now I'll share my thoughts about this Spatial Sound 360 audio. From my point of view, it's just another high-res they're trying to sell us. High-res, you see, we've talked about it before, and surround sound formats. It's pretty much the same thing. So I turn on the television, turn on Netflix, and I see the spatial sound icon pop up. I press it and nothing happens. My stereo remains stereo. It doesn't become surround sound. Even though Netflix actively talks about having this spatial sound, saying it's really great, it's the same thing on Tidal. We have this 360-degree format, right? Not all headphones support this format, but if you take Sony's 1000 series headphones, for example, you turn on Tidal, you turn on this 360 surround sound, and I turn it on and I don't understand what changed, what became different. Well, all these sounds were around my head, maybe just a little bit farther, and that's how it stayed. What's 360 about it? Nothing changed. There's a format, an idea, and they're selling it to us. But maybe write in the comments if you can hear all this and how it feels to you. Honestly, I would be very interested to know your opinion about surround sound formats. My opinion is that it's just another high-res that nobody can actually hear.
you do realize that you and I are a fading generation.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I'm fading. You'll fade with time.
I'm already getting there too. Yeah, I'm getting there. Well, maybe we can move on then.
No, I'll finish. We're both fading. These developments aren't for us. You do realize they're not for us, right? And who does the coding here? Mega gamers. Imagine you're there. It's a shooter and you're being attacked from all sides. And they'll grow up, become adults and have families.
Here, spatial sound for gamers.
No, this is spatial sound for young gamers. And when they become mature gamers, they'll have opportunities.
So instead of headphones, they'll set up something like this in their room?
Yeah, instead of headphones, they'll have a whole shooter room.
That could be.
And guests will come there, drink whiskey and shoot monsters.
They'll eat chips, drink cola, snack on instant noodles, those Roltons, yeah, and enjoy spatial sound if you can hear anything over all that crunching.
You underestimate young people. They're more educated and many live carefully. They drink less, they don't eat chips.
But they do eat chips.
They eat chips on holidays.
But as for whiskey, they probably won't drink whiskey for sure.
Well, they'll probably, I don't know, smoke weed. I don't know, something like that.
Maybe that's better, I don't know.
Well, anyway, when they grow up, they'll change too. But just like our generation buys vinyl, they'll buy a shooter game.
Yeah, that's right.
Television, a shooter game, and that's it. So I think it's not for us.
About young people, how young people listen to music, I'll even read it out loud. Young people don't build an altar out of boxes. This is about high-end with huge amplifiers, huge digital to analog converters, and extremely expensive speakers. Convenience, mobility, and price are important to young people. That's exactly why the guy in this picture looks so happy with his phone and his simple headphones. What's up with headphones? Things are getting interesting. Well, for example, people like me buy expensive headphones. These are focal Bathys. They cost 800 euros. They're not even the most expensive headphones in the world. They sound really good. You can use them over Bluetooth, connect them with a simple cable, or get sound through USB-C from a computer or phone. They have noise cancellation, and I use these headphones every day. There are headphones like T+A, Dali, Bang & Olufsen, Bowers and Wilkins, Focal Bathys MG, which cost 1,200 to 1,300 euros, and they sound even better. But what's the most paradoxical thing about all this? If we take headphones from AliExpress for $25, and during a sale you can even get them for $21, are subjectively comparable in sound quality to Focal Bathys, which cost 800. And I'm not making this up, it's a fact. If you want, you can come to me and check for yourself. Focal Bathys have a beautiful design. I like and use them daily, and they offer features like noise cancellation and Bluetooth. But if you just want good sound, here's a tip for you. These earbuds cost $21 to $25. What else is interesting in the headphone industry? There are the Audeze Maxwell gaming headphones. We no longer sell those headphones, and I'll tell you a bit later why we don't sell them anymore. They cost about 350 euros at retail. These planar magnetic headphones are made for home gaming. And what's interesting is that these headphones, for 350 to 360 euros, easily outperform any luxury wireless headphones currently on the market in terms of sound quality. So even if you want to buy Focal, Bathys, MG, or Bowers and Wilkins, or some fancy Bang & Olufsen, Audeze Maxwell will beat them. But there's one problem, and that's why we don't sell these headphones on premium hi-fi anymore. Every 10th pair of these headphones has a defect. Sometimes one ear starts crackling, then the other, or the transmitter stops working, and they have to be replaced. Don't order these headphones from premiumhifi.lv. Be sure to find a seller closer to your location, so that you have the opportunity to exchange these headphones when they stop working. And against the backdrop of all this magnificence, against the backdrop of headphones for 25 bucks that sound like headphones for 800 euros, I completely understand this young man who takes JBLs, turns on his phone, and doesn't need anything else in the world. Because JBLs for 50 bucks will even sound better than these Chinese 02s for $21 to $25. That's exactly why the high-end industry is slowly dying, and when you go to a high-end exhibition in Munich, it feels like there are fewer and fewer people there. People are getting older and older, and young people aren't interested in this at all. And there's another fact that confirms the high-end industry is gradually sinking. It's that when you go to an electronics store, a big electronics store, they only deal with products that have high sales volumes. We can buy wireless headphones or wired ones, we can buy a smart speaker which actually needs to be dumb to work for a long time, and we can buy a Bluetooth boombox that runs on batteries. And that's exactly the market. That's the market that's being sold, while all the stores that deal in hi-fi and high-end equipment are hiding somewhere, sometimes almost in basements or semi-basements, and they're practically of no interest to the general public anymore. And all these indicate that high-end is sinking. It's a niche market, a niche product. It's still interesting to some people, but nevertheless inexpensive.
No, it's changing. It's not even sinking, the format. So what is it, let's say what we call high-end, if we call it high-end, very good multifunctional, let's say multifunctional equipment for a high price. It's just changing. But let's say there are these very large racks. There are a lot of piglets sitting there. This option, of course, will disappear. It will change. Immersive sound. As I said, our generation is leaving, but the next one is growing up and will spend big money again. This is for the youth.
This is for the youth, yes.
And when these young people turn 40 and they become managers, good specialists, and have enough resources to fulfill their childhood dreams, they will fulfill them in this room. They won't have headphones in the room.
No, well, maybe there will be a room with immersive sound, maybe, but then the recording industry will also have to change. Currently we have stereo.
What do you mean stereo? We have everything. It's just going to be these standards. What did we solve? We solved the transport issue. That's the hardest part. We can send you this file. And the network infrastructure is constantly developing. And whether it's 5-channel, 7-channel, or 20-channel, no problem, as soon as the network infrastructure can handle it.
Yes.
Yes, and that's why I'm so skeptical about this 24-bit high-res. There's no need for it. Instead, you could push multi-channel. Yeah, that capacity, that's it. And then even Spotify will have not stereo trio. Yeah, maybe. It's just a joke. I haven't seen any trio developments, but no. Well, you can make it multi-channel, yeah, starting with 3 speakers. And there will be recordings, there will be content, and gradually this will change. But the most important thing is that we have transport. We have transport from somewhere to our house. And inside the house, we get a huge digital capacity, so we can do all this. The infrastructure is ready, but it's unclear what services will follow. Well, take Sony, for example, who are thinking about this 360. It's not for music, it's because they're young, they don't have much money, they have a phone, and suddenly a dinosaur is jumping at them from all sides. These are gamers. The gaming industry will push this forward, and music will be included in excellent quality. So everything is correct, it's just that sometimes we look at things too narrowly.
The stereo industry, which took off in the 1950s, has really accelerated, and changing it now is incredibly hard. Well, a couple of decades ago, there was the 5.1 format that appeared when musical groups were recorded on digital versatile disc in 5.1 format, so that's also multi-channel. But it never caught on. People don't record that way now. So that was also
5 and 1, that doesn't make sense. Our biggest problem with stereo is the center channel. It's an unstable system. Well, if you move just a little, yeah, here it's stereo, here it's worse, you go here, it's better, you go there, it's like this, but you can't hear it there, you move to the left.
Here's the solution.
Well, no, headphones don't solve spatial listening.
Well, yeah, there are bugs in your head.
Because when we have this, when we listen in space normally, first of all, we don't get tired at all. It's somehow easy to listen.
We feel all the frequencies with our whole body, but headphones only deliver sound to your ears.
Well, yeah, spatial listening still plays a big role for us. When we don't have the opportunity, yeah, we sit with headphones. It's better than nothing. So both of these parts will be there, but of course gamers will decide a lot in the future. And stereo fits in very well here. Even my idea about 3 speakers, because 3 speakers would simplify stereo so much. Everything would sound just right. You can move to the left, but you're still in the center, yeah? And all these instruments will be transmitted with stereo using different effects. It would be much more stable.
Okay, got it. Well, I guess we've discussed everything, or do you want to add anything else?
Well, overall, let's look to the future. I think the speaker will be plastic in the future.
There are already some now. I have a Bluetooth speaker at home. It's battery powered, made of plastic, and it sounds great.
No, I think a high-end speaker will be made of plastic. What kind of marketing do we have now? How have they worked with us? If a speaker is plastic, it's considered cheap. Cheap can be good, but cheap/bad, there's probably a better word for it in Russian, right? Cheap is bad. The thing is, with plastic, if we use 3D technologies, we can make a really precise, proper speaker, much more accurate than one made of wood if we do everything right. Then it's stamped out in huge quantities and we get a really good speaker for a reasonable price.
All right, well, dear friends, we're coming to the end. Leave your comments about what you think the future of high-end is, what you think about gamers, surround sound, high-res, and so on. This was Arkady Zenin from Premium Hi-Fi and Gunters from TC Rasters. That's all, and may the force of the right sound for you be with you. Come visit us. Thank you, Gunters, it was very interesting.
Thank you.